You don't argue the way others do. You don't explode. You don't slam doors. Instead, you go quiet. You replay conversations long after they've ended. You analyze tone, timing, intention. You ask yourself what you could have said differently even when you were the one hurt. And somehow, in every conflict, you end up understanding them more than they understand you. That's the paradox. Your depth makes you compassionate. Your insight makes you patient. Your emotional intelligence makes you forgiving. But in relationships, it also makes you invisible. Because you don't just feel pain, you contextualize it. You don't just feel neglected, you explain it away. You don't just feel abandoned, you rationalize why they couldn't show up. You tell yourself, they didn't mean it. They're doing their best. I understand where they're coming from. And maybe you do. But understanding has slowly replaced being understood. The thing that once kept you safe, thinking deeply, feeling deeply, anticipating emotional shifts, is now the very thing that's slowly eroding your sense of self inside relationships. You don't suffer loudly. You suffer internally. And the tragedy is, most people never notice. To understand why deep thinkers suffer the most in relationships, we have to name what's actually happening beneath the surface. This isn't sensitivity. This isn't overthinking. This isn't being too emotional. This is cognitive emotional hyperintegration, a state where thought and emotion are so tightly fused that you can't feel without analyzing, and you can't analyze without self-blame. Many deep thinkers developed this early through parentification, the unconscious role of becoming emotionally responsible for others at a young age. When caregivers were inconsistent, overwhelmed, emotionally unavailable, or volatile, you learned that attunement was survival. So your nervous system adapted. You became hyper-aware of emotional shifts. You learned to read between silences. You learned to anticipate conflict before it happened. Neurologically, this wires the default mode network, DMN, into overdrive, the brain system responsible for self-reflection, meaning-making, and internal narrative. For deep thinkers, the DMN doesn't shut off, it loops. And in relationships, that loop sounds like, what did I do wrong? How can I fix this? What are they feeling right now? Add anxious avoidant attachment into the mix, where closeness is desired but safety is uncertain, and you get a relational style where depth is offered freely, but needs are hidden quietly. You don't demand connection. You earn it. You don't ask for reassurance. You understand its absence. Carl Jung once said, the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parent. But there is another burden, the unlived life of the self. Deep thinkers often sacrifice authenticity for harmony. They become emotionally fluent but personally distant, present yet unseen. You start editing yourself, not because you're dishonest, but because you're considerate. You soften your needs so they don't feel overwhelmed. You delay your truth so the moment doesn't become uncomfortable. And over time, something subtle happens. You grieve, quietly. You grieve conversations you never had, boundaries you never set, versions of yourself you never allowed to fully exist. The core fear underneath all of this isn't abandonment, it's burdening others with your inner world. So you carry it alone. And this turns intimacy into a performance. Not fake, but filtered, curated, controlled. Simple moments become complex. A text becomes a signal. A pause becomes a story. A distance becomes self-doubt. You don't feel chosen, you feel tolerated. And yet, you stay. Because you understand. This doesn't stay theoretical. It shows up everywhere. You might overfunction emotionally in relationships. You become the therapist, translator, emotional regulator, but rarely the one being held. Struggle with boundaries. Not because you don't know them, but because enforcing them risks conflict, and conflict feels unsafe. Attract emotionally unavailable partners. Because your depth compensates for their absence. You bring meaning where there is distance. Minimize your pain. You tell yourself others have it worse. You intellectualize hurt instead of honoring it. Resent quietly. You don't explode, you withdraw. And no one understands why you're suddenly tired. Confuse self-awareness with self-blame. You can see every angle except the one where you deserve more. These are not personality traits. They are coping strategies. And healing doesn't begin with changing behavior, it begins with witnessing. Witnessing the part of you that learned to stay silent to stay connected. Witnessing the child who learned that love required vigilance. Stop gaslighting yourself with insight. Insight without compassion is still self-abandonment. Healing for deep thinkers is not about becoming less deep. It's about becoming softer with yourself. This is where inner child reparenting begins, offering yourself the safety you once sought through understanding others. It's where shadow work asks you to integrate the parts of you that want to be messy, needy, unfiltered. It's choosing relationships where you don't have to explain your pain for it to matter. The goal is not to stop thinking. The goal is to stop over-sacrificing. As philosopher Simone Weil wrote, attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. Turn that attention inward. You were never too much. You were simply giving depth to places that could not hold it. And the truth is this: deep thinkers don't suffer because they love deeply. They suffer because they forget to include themselves in that love. You don't need to be fixed, you need to be whole. If this resonated, share it with someone who thinks too deeply for their own heart. And if you're ready to stop surviving relationships and start inhabiting them, stay.